right. Here we go. In three, two, one. Welcome back to another episode of the Alaska Sports Talk Podcast. So glad to have you along wherever you get your podcasts. Isaiah Vreeman, Brad Lauer, special guest Marshall Vest. Kind of rhymed there, didn't
Yeah,
I was
yeah, I
trying to,
did.
like
Very
kind of
good.
some lyrics going. The Mount Edgecombe Braves boys basketball head coach will join us talking last couple of weeks ago, 3A boys state championship that took place and kind of recap that whole thing. But the biggest news, guys, biggest news. You ready for this?
I'm
Fairbanks
ready.
is getting a Raising Cane's. Just saying.
What? Wow.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Fairbanks, Raising
Way,
Cane's. So,
yay. Fairbanks, congratulations.
yeah, I know, right? What would be bigger news, Coach Vest? This is kind of a funny question to start with. Raising Cane's coming to Sitka, or, Mount Edgecombe winning the state championship. What would be better received, you
Ooh.
think?
Oh, it might be Raising Cane's.
You might not be wrong on that one.
That would be like the wildest, most unique Raising Cane's, though, hands down. Like that'd be
Oh
the
yeah.
best place to go. Um, Couple of weeks ago, obviously, you guys in the state tournament made history. I mean, not just for your program at Mount Edgecombe, but also just in terms of Alaska basketball history. Uh, Kind of recap some of the emotions that you've been through the tournament and finally getting to relax a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, that game alone was an emotional roller coaster for sure. And like I was saying just before we hopped on, it took me a lot about this last week to really decompress from that game. Um, but you know, afterwards here, as this week has gone on, it's been really awesome to see the support from the Mount Edgecombe community and the alumni and just everybody who's so proud of this championship. That's a cool side of this that I didn't really expect to see, I guess. Just really cool to see all the people that are supporting and that are proud of this championship that we brought home to Mount Edgecombe.
First year on the job, you kind of traveled the world a little bit in your basketball career. I think Mexico, Scotland on the list. What about it playing professionally, you know, taught you maybe what you want to do as a head coach when you applied for this job and eventually got it?
Yeah, I think my own journey, there's bits and pieces I've taken from everywhere I've been. Every coach, I'd like to say I'm taking mostly things that, I'd like to do myself. Few things I learned along the way of what not to do. But for the most part, I think just I'm able to pull from everything, all those experiences that I had as a player. And like I said, just kind of figure out what works for me, and what works for this group specifically. And then I think just above all else, really what I've noticed as a player was the best coaches were just the guys that were really involved and that cared about you as a human being and, tried to help you make you successful off the court as well as on the court. And so that's got to be my mentality as well, as I came into this is just try to be a resource for these guys. Um,
Talk about some of your star players. I mean, Caden Herman, Elton Andrew, Guy Goldsberry. Obviously, they each played a role, throughout the state tournament, whether it was the opening round game against Houston when you guys won 79-35, when you played Sitka, it won by 6, 50. It seemed like somebody kind of stepped up in a different spot for you throughout the state tournament.
Absolutely. We have a team full of dogs is what I tell a lot of people like at least four guys on our starting five I think are capable of scoring 15 to 20 points a night, and I think you saw that in that championship game. I mean, Royce Alstrom, who scores about 10 a night, had 18, and in our conference championship game he had 19 I think that game as well. So he just he lives for the moment. A lot of those guys do. And I think the longer the season went on, the more they were able to recognize we can't all score 20 every game, but two of them can, and then the rest of them can kind of fall in line and do what needs to be done to win the basketball game. And so I think they just have all bought into that team mentality come around March, in time for this tournament. And so it was just feed the hot hand, and everybody's doing what they have to do to win. But absolutely, I think every night, like you said, it was somebody else kind of stepped up. I think that first night against Houston, Guy scored all 18 points in the third quarter, and he probably had at least 5 steals while he did it. I mean, his defensive effort was outstanding, and he just popped off in that third quarter. It was huge. And then the next night. Caden Herman steps up and does what he needs to do and gets to the rim consistently, and he finds his teammates, and we get great contributions from everybody else, and it was a solid team win in a much lower scoring game. And then again, that third game against Barrow, it took everybody. It took Caden and Guy and Xavier and Royce having solid basketball games, and then contributions from guys like Eldon Andrew and Gordon Lee, who they made huge plays in that game. But I got to tell you, they've made huge plays all season long. Those guys come in off the bench. They have such a spark just because they play so hard on both ends of the basketball. They're not concerned with scoring. They're aggressive with it on offense, but they're just willing to do what needs to be done and get in there and fight for the basketball, play defense, and do the gritty, And I'm so happy that those guys had found moments of success on the biggest stage because, like I said, they work so hard. They've been doing it all year long, and just full team effort. Absolutely.
That state championship game, kind of just take us through the game plan. As soon as you get through the quarterfinal, the semifinal, now you're taking on Barrow. We all know the star power that they have. Alex Frewen, obviously one of their go-to guys, had 46. What
Mm-hmm.
was kind of the message to your team in terms of, all right, we know that he's going to get his points. It's going to happen. We got
Mm-hmm.
to do some other things here to kind of give ourselves a chance. What was kind of the game plan and the message to your boys going to the state tournament?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Alex is a force to be reckoned with. Um, we played him in January. He hung 40 on us then too. And it was a close game then. I mean, we had control of it in the first half. They came back, took control of it, and we couldn't consistently make shots. But so coming into the state final game, we didn't want to fully blitz him and double him. I think he's too good of a passer to really do that. And credit to his teammates. I think his teammates are too good to really do that too. We didn't want to let Leone, number 30, start hitting threes in the corner, or Tavals get going down low underneath. They have some other guys that could hurt us, and I think they hurt us in January. So we weren't committing to a full double team. We wanted to make him play a full court offense and defense. You got to bring the ball up with some pressure. We're going to make you guard on the other end. And then as far as pick and rolls, we were trying to just limit the roll man, really. I mean, like you said, you can only do so much with him. We were trying to run him off the 3-point line. And I thought we did a good job of that in the first quarter, except then he just started going straight to the rim. And we had no help side. Nobody wanted to step in front of that moving freight train right there. I get it. So he started to just do his thing. So, we had ways of what we thought we would do man to man. Then we had some zone defenses that we thought we could do in the back pocket. That's what we ended up going to in the third quarter there to try to change the pace of the game. And I think that was the first time our boys saw a momentum shift. Credit to Barrow. We went on a run. They bounced right back, pushed that lead to, I think, about 8 or 9 going into the fourth quarter. And so, but I think at that point, we just felt, all right, if we can keep ramping up our defensive pressure and keep making it challenging for them, we felt that we were in better shape. We felt that we could continue to play that run and gun game that we want to play. And at a certain point in time, we were going to just go on a break and make a run for it. And I thought we made multiple runs at it. And again, credit to Barrow. They just kept bouncing back, pushing that lead right back to 7 or 8 points. Right until, I guess, a minute and a half left, really. But
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy. I know you guys I think you were down 12 at one point in the third quarter. By the time you guys kind of make that adjustment, and then you guys keep chipping away and chipping away and chipping away. And
mm-hmm.
finally, you get it to within striking distance of a couple of points. And let's get down to the final few seconds there of regulation. You have, I think, Caden's at the free throw line,
Mm-hmm.
right, for those two free throws. What's going through your mind just as a head coach? I mean, 3 seconds left. You're down by two. He's got two shots. I mean, are you thinking, okay, he's got it. It's locked up. Or are you feeling nervous for him?
I felt confident in him. Honestly, I think, Caden's been one of our best free throw shooters all year long. I think he lives for the moment. I think he was, I felt confident in those two free throws. The longer the game on, the more we started getting violations and whatnot, I started to feel a little less confident. But for those two free throws there, I thought, no, they felt good. I felt good about those.
You mentioned the lane violations. Like, I just couldn't believe, like, I was like, oh my goodness, that's unreal. I don't know if I've ever seen three lane violations in the course of a game. And it was just like, I think two were on the shooter, I
Yeah.
think. And it's like, oh my goodness. It's just crazy, crazy times. Um, when Alex Frewen fouls out of that first overtime, does that kind
Mhm.
of change your mentality and kind of shift of how you wanted to attack as it got into double overtime and eventually triple overtime?
Absolutely. And I think even the boys said it themselves. We came into a timeout after he had fouled out, and they were like, hey, he's out. Everybody looked to go to the rim right now. Everybody looked to attack and just kind of, like I said, or I think I might have said this earlier, they smelt blood in the water again. That was kind of the second time. They're like, okay, let's really go now. Let's make this run. And then credit to Barrow again. They wouldn't go down either, because that was the
No.
first overtime, and here we go, two more quarters. So
That final play where they're, inbounding the basketball and they're struggling to get a shot up, what's kind of going through your mind there? I mean, were you thinking like, oh my gosh, did we commit a foul? Because I feel like from some people's perspective there in the corner, it got kind of chaotic. Did that ever enter your mind at all in that final few seconds there as time was ticking down?
it did, because I think we had three team fouls. I think we had a foul to give. So it did cross my mind. I also, when the ball went on the floor and it hit the deck, I was like, should I call a timeout? It all happened so fast. Um, but I think we were very locked in for the moment too. We were ready to just play defense and get a stop and play till that buzzer went off. That was that message there in the timeout right beforehand. I think that's what they were ready and locked in to do.
The crazy thing here, Mount Edgecombe, historically, they've been in these state tournaments before. They've made it to state championship games before, never been able to win it, and you win the first one in program history. I mean, what is that feeling like to the community and the people, that support Mount Edgecombe there in that small little community of Sitka?
Oh, I think it means everything, really. I think Mount Edgecombe is so great because the kids here come from all areas of Alaska, and so their family and the alumni, are located all throughout the state. And so it's just truly, I think it meant everything to see them win and get this championship for that community.
Brad, I know you're taking a lot of notes over there. I think you're itching to ask some questions.
Keaton, I got a new phone. I'll say that. So that's been a drawback for me, but I'm figuring it out and I'm going through my list. I see very few questions yet to ask, but I know going into the fourth quarter, Coach, you were down 9, and in about a minute and a half, you were down 2. So, what happened in the beginning of that fourth quarter? You talked about being having a lot of confidence in your team. Did you feel that same confidence right then?
Strangely, I did. I was telling them, I've seen you guys do some great things this year, and tonight is no different. You just got to keep fighting and keep pushing and playing hard every possession. Fight for every loose ball, fight for every defensive stop. And I did have confidence in them. We were in a similar situation, a couple of nights before against Sitka. We found ourselves in a hole and we had to dig ourselves out. And so I was kind of trying to relay on that, that previous game there and let them know, like, we can claw our way out of this. We don't, it's 9 points. We can erase that in a few possessions, really.
Well, I was down in Sitka a few years back and went to the gym, and I found that really amazing. Several courts in a place you could keep a plane. And then at the one end, just the old style gym. Never having played there, It's got to be a good feeling to be there all the time, and you can tell there's a lot of history. Tell us about how you feel when you go on the court there to play a game.
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love the facility we have there. Um, and yeah, I feel a sense of pride. I mean, it's an honor to play in that gym and see names on the Wall of Fame and the Hall of Fame going all the way back to the 50s. We've had some guys come in after our games, alumni who were up there. Frank White, and I don't want to misquote, but I think he graduated in like 61. And he's up there on the Hall of Fame, and he came in and shook all our boys' hands after our game. And I mean, so just things like that, it's an honor to play in that facility and to represent, everybody that has came through Mount Edgecombe.
I think one thing you might start for other people is a real Christmas break. Is you guys, how do you approach that Christmas break? You guys scatter. A lot of times you come back together and you're right into a tournament. So what are your plans on that? And maybe it'll be a trend that catches on.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. We go with the Grace tournament. We start out with 3 games, and then I don't see them for 3 weeks after that. So we have some at-home workouts that I send them with, and I hope that they do them. But there's not much I can do for 18, 19 days. They're out at home, and like I said, they're scattered across the state. And so it's just, hey, I'll see you guys in January. And that first week back is going to be some brutal boot camp practices. I hope you're ready,
We know who's been shooting free throws during that break. We'll find out. Yeah.
We'll see who was doing the workouts. Yeah.
Well, one thing you've already talked about is just how everybody can step up. And what I've heard that called before is depth of shooting. So with Barrow, you got one guy you really got to concentrate on. But your team, when somebody fouled out or something happened, a guy would turn his ankle. It just seemed like somebody stepped off the bench and they had no fear. How do you develop that attitude of no fear?
Yeah. I think I got to credit the boys a little bit, because I think a little bit's just innate and it's just part of who they are. That's just part of that ethic they have instilled in them. But I try to push them very hard in practice, and I try to instill confidence in all of them, that when they're on the court and they have an opportunity to score the basketball, I want all 5 guys to be aggressive. If you're out there, I'm confident that you can score the basketball and on your shooting ability. And so, they all have a green light in a sense. Truly, if you're on the court, you got a green light. And and I think this far in the season, they also have been able to recognize what they can bring to the table. I'll talk about him again. Gordon Lee, number 15, has been coming off the bench all year long, getting huge blocks. And, he's good at that. He recognizes he's good at that. And he's only just gotten better as the season goes on. And so, Eldon Andrew, another guy who just comes in and he's not afraid to shoot the basketball. And, in practice all year long, we get a lot of shots up. Everybody shoots a lot of shots every session we get. So, I just hope that they're all confident when they go out there on the court and ready to shoot that ball if the time comes.
Well, Coach, Keaton and I were doing that game, and as the minutes wound down, one of my jobs is to go get the player of the game and the coach to come over for the interview. And, there was really no clear picture of who would get that. But I came over behind your bench, and I didn't know that I'd be there for, the last 12 minutes of the game. It lasted a lot longer. But I noticed I didn't see a lot of contributions from your assistant coaches. So maybe you could tell me a little about that.
Yeah, sure. Well, first off, I'll shout out my assistant coach, Zach Anderson. He wasn't able to make it out there to the state tournament with us. He's a busy guy. He owns his own business. He's got a kid that's due any day now. So he couldn't risk not being home for that, for the birth of his child. So, but that's my one assistant coach. Other than that, I'm new to Sitka. I moved out here for the job. I'd never been here before, so I didn't know anybody really when I got here, and did the rest or as much as I had to on my own, I guess is how I'll put it.
Well, Coach, you got a lot of friends now. I'll tell you that.
Yes,
And
sir.
Coach Isaiah and Isaiah, you and I know somebody from the luncheon, and their father-in-law played at Mount Edgecombe,
Okay.
and that name is Mel Brown. So I don't know if you've looked over that name, but when I went in that gym, that was a name that meant something to me.
Mm.
And I think too, when you talk about, you look around the gym and you see specific communities, and Barrow travels. They have some people in town, but you have people from all over the state. So when you get such great support, that's got to feel good. You talk about your alumni. Um, you have alumni from everywhere.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Yeah, it's truly a culmination of all the cultures of Alaska. I think it's such a unique place.
It is a unique place. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. You played high school basketball down in Kenai,
I
right?
I did,
I
yes,
mean,
sir.
so and then you spend some time away and you go play professional basketball, and this job opens up at Mount Edgecombe. It's kind of I don't know, a two-way question here, I guess. Would you have taken any job in Alaska, or was it specifically Mount Edgecombe? Something about that drew you to it, and you wanted to be the head coach at Mount Edgecombe?
Um, it's a great question. Every time I come back to Alaska in the past few years, I would look to see what's available for sure. I actually saw that I think Kodiak had a head coaching job available last summer, and I didn't apply. I wanted to. I just kind of let it slip by. And when I saw the Edgecombe job, I thought, well, I'm definitely going to apply for this one. Because I just knew about Edgecombe. I kind of knew some of the guys. Like I knew about Caden Herman. I know his older brother, Tayson. And so I was just, I looked into him once I saw the job. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I would definitely like to go here. And while I did graduate from Kenai Central High School, my first 2 years of high school, I went out of state to a boarding school as well. And so I think the boarding school aspect of Mount Edgecombe also kind of resonates with me. And I wanted to come here because I think I could resonate with a lot of the journey that these young men are on.
That's pretty cool. I mean, I think that just kind of ties in some fate there. I mean, that
Absolutely.
you didn't apply for the Kodiak job. You kind of let that one slip by and then end up down there in Mount Edgecombe. Uh, at what point in time did you realize prior to the season starting, maybe some workouts or something along the line, that you really knew this was going to be a really special group of guys, that this team had something that maybe could really make a deep run into the state tournament and if not win it all?
Before I got here, like I said, I saw the job was posted. I started watching some film from the games from last year. I wasn't sure who was all coming back, but I had a decent idea of a couple of them. And so, in the interviews, I talked about, listen, I want to hang banners. That's my goal. I want to compete and hang banners every year. I want to build something here that'll be, we talk about legacy. And so before I got here, this was the plan. And when I got here, I was ecstatic to see the group we had, to see some guys like Guy Goldsberry is a first year here. Um, and heck of a pickup right there. And just yeah, so we had a great group. So early on, those first few open gyms, like it was a feeling out process with them and me for sure. But I'd say as we hit November and we all started to realize we had a similar goal here, it really became clear like we could go do this. And then, I mean, our first win of the season was against Nome at the Grace tournament, and that was a huge win where we were like, oh wow, we could really do this year. You know what I mean? Like that's Nome's a good team. They've been a good team all year long, I think. So, um,
How do you, as we kind of wrap things up here just a little bit before, so we can give you your evening back, how do you kind of talk about this with your team in the offseason? You got a lot of guys coming back, I think, a good
mhm.
core group coming back. How do you switch the mentality, kind of that hunter to being the hunted mentality now that you're the defending state champion?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, just you said it right. I mean, this year we felt like we were being slept on. I guess I'll say it. Even when we were the 1 seed, it felt like, well, nobody was really paying attention. So now I'm like, well, hey, they're going to pay attention next year. You're going to have a target on your back every game. People are going to want to knock you down. So we've already had those conversations, and we're just, we're going to attack it differently, I think, too. I think I got here a little bit late, even last year, as far as preseason and being able to do anything with them in the preseason. And so we'll definitely have a different approach as how we come and prepare for next year.
All right. As we let you go here, Coach, first thing you did when you got back home was
Sleep.
Yeah, that's probably a good call. Good call.
Fair. Yeah, that's fair.
All right.
Yeah.
First thing you did after leaving the Alaska Airlines Center, after you guys win the state championship, all that stuff.
Oh, we went and got some food. We went and got canes.
And no way. I was just going to ask that if that. Yes.
Nice.
We've come full circle. All right. All right. Brad, anything else for Coach before we let him go?
Well, just congratulations, a team of destiny, and I can see why so many kids travel the state to come back. You're part of a special community, a place where basketball is important, and I think the results of the tournament certainly show that you're in the right place.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Yeah, congratulations, Coach Marshall
Absolutely.
Vest of the boys Sitka basketball team, or excuse me, Mount Edgecombe basketball team. That is on me. I take that like that's.
Yeah, that's on
Can
you.
we scratch that from there?
I want no part of that.
Yeah, I know. Yep,
None.
that's a butcher. That's on me. That's on me. Mount Edgecombe boys basketball team. Coach Vest, thanks a lot. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
Feel free to stick around.
Thanks,
We're
Coach.
talking about a couple other things. We got some news on UAA men's basketball, head coach, Anchorage Wolverines as well. Brad, I think you had some news on the Big C relays.
Yeah, just
update.
You got to look at page A9. And I don't know how this happened, Keaton, but paper comes out on Sunday. The track meet runs Friday, Saturday. And, even in the biggest papers in the country, the best papers in the country, they usually say game late or something like that. But I don't know how these all got in the paper. But if you want to follow them, there's a ton. And it's just a phenomenal early season track meet, which it might slip by people. But you drive near the dome, and it's hard to find a parking spot. It's just cars go on forever. There's people all over the place. And virtually every team travels there. So it's a great event. And it's named after Russ Edwards. It's called the Russ Edwards Big C Relays. And then one of the things, Isaiah, you know how this works when you have arenas and negotiation. It's one of the big events in the Dome. And it's also, I don't know how finances work with track teams, if there's entry fees to get in, if they're able to get sponsors, but that it's kind of being said that that's really a sticking point for future years, whether they can plan on keeping it and whether there's another place that can host it that time of the year. I really can't think of any that can. So
not that time of year.
Yeah, no. I don't know if you can do it later, but seems like there's a lot of potential great sponsors up there, and I think if somebody were to come along to support that effort, I think it would do a lot for kids, not just in Anchorage, not just in the big cities, but just track and field athletes from all over the state.
Yeah, it would. I mean, it would certainly be awesome to have that, ability. But I know the results for that tournament. I mean, there was a whole bunch, obviously, to go through so many events and things for that Big C relay over the course of that couple of days. And I was just trying to pull up some of the individual winners, but there's so many to go through. If you're curious and you want to see the winners and results of those events, bigcrelays.com, and you can find all the 2026 results of all those events. Again, schools from all over the state. I mean, come and participate in this thing. So But
Yeah,
yeah,
one of the things they pull up some things you don't see anywhere else, like the Swedish relay. Now
yeah.
I don't know what that is, but um, they do different things. They run different distances, so it's kind of interesting that way. It's not the same old, kind of track meet all in order. So um, a lot of interesting aspects, but I guess the big one is statewide participation.
You mentioned the Swedish relay. Soldatna won that, by the way, at least on the that side of things. So it's a mix of boys and girls on that Swedish relay team. So
Ah,
Soldatna won. Diamond took second in that event. So kind of a unique thing there that they put together. They have a lot of events you're not going to see throughout the course of a
Yes.
regular track season. So it is a very, very unique setup. And you're right, Brad. You drive down on that side of town past the dome. It's the Big C. It's that time of year. You look down at the calendar and you're like, oh, that's that event because uh,
yeah.
no
I,
bigger track meet.
I think they have the pentathlon, which I don't know how many events it is. I think it's around five. Um, and I saw that Chris Jones was involved, who we talked about, and so he's made a quick transition from basketball to track. And then for some reason, Keaton, the fact that the Swedish relays are co-ed, that just seems right to me.
Oh yeah, yeah, sure, yeah, 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 sure, yeah. I like it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But again, if you want to go to bigcrelays.com, you can find all the information of 100-meter results for boys and girls and all the other events and things like that, including the Swedish relay uh, as well. Yeah.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that the Chugiak girls team did pretty well. Just
Off the top of my head, I don't know. I would
just
historically they have. I
based on
mean,
the fact that they ran everybody out during cross country running.
yeah,
I think their running events they're pretty spot on.
they're pretty decent. Yeah, they're
Yeah,
they're they're pretty good usually, but. I don't know actually off the top of my head. I haven't looked at close at the results.
I
Heading
haven't
into
pulled them
things.
up. I haven't looked, but
Brad's got the paper.
I'm guessing that they're probably pretty decent.
I'm trying to find it. I got my Mr. Magoo glasses on here, very thick, Coke bottle, if you will, and just this small print. So if you want to know it, don't forget your glasses.
Okay, there you go. Okay. Um, so that happened last week. Obviously, more track and field events are coming up. We're still, we have snow on the ground. We're not going to get to outdoor uh, track and field events. I feel for a little while. Um, Same with soccer. Probably soccer season also got underway last week as well, and they're playing all their matches right now on the dome. Baseball and softball season, they had their tryouts and they're all practicing. I know that there's a tournament that's coming up down in Ketchikan for baseball. I believe next week or maybe sometime soon. Might be in the middle of April, but that's coming up as well. So. Spring sports are here, even though it doesn't look like spring. So,
Or feel like spring.
or feel like it. It's been colder than normal.
Do you
I
know
mean,
that this is the coldest? I saw this published by the National Weather Service. Somebody sent it to me today. This is the coldest March or from February 15th till today, the coldest it's been in Anchorage since 1956.
wow. I believe that. I mean,
I completely believe that. I
it,
said that a few weeks ago. Like this has got to be the coldest March that I can remember.
well, in the last two winters, we didn't have as much snow as we got this year. And I feel like even though it may have been a little bit warmer, obviously, there was also a lot less snow that had to melt and things like that, I think. And so it
Yep.
just felt like an earlier spring-ish, if you wanted to say that. But yeah, the temperatures right now, I mean, the fact that we were in the single digits at times, in negative temperatures as well during the evening, I'm like, what the heck? Is this March? But
Sunday,
yeah,
I woke up at 6:37. It was -2 outside on
that's
Sunday.
ridiculous.
Like,
That's
come on,
ridiculous.
this
Yeah.
isn't real.
You're killing me. You're killing me.
Well, the last few years, we probably haven't been in our garage in about 20 years, but it's been cleaned. And even when I couldn't keep the car in there, I just like rammed it in there just to say I had it in there. And we haven't had heat in there for 4 or 5 years. So I went and got a heater, and it was without permission. And then we cleaned the garage even more. And I haven't heard a lot about that heater, but I'll just tell you right now, I haven't been the one that gets to park in the garage that much. So it's the volleyball coach that has taken advantage of that.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
So
it's going to happen.
Move on to another sport here. Let's get to the ice hockey. Obviously, the Anchorage Wolverines having a big game this past week against the Wisconsin Wendigo, a one-game showdown, and it was a victory for the Wolverines, 3-1. And so the Wolverines and Wendigo, I think they're tied in the Midwest Division, right? Is that
no?
no?
Wolverines are up one.
Okay.
Wolverines. Well, Minnesota we knew clinched a while ago, but Wolverines, Ice Dogs, and Wendigo all are locks for playoffs. Minnesota's the 1 seed. Now it's just 2, 3, 4 are up for grabs right now.
Got it.
Between the three. Fairbanks plays Wisconsin Friday, Saturday this week. And Wolverines play Kenai Friday at Kenai, and then Kenai plays at the Sullivan Saturday and Sunday. So to finish out the regular season. The last weekend of the regular season, the Wolverines don't have any games. So it's big.
It is big. It's huge.
If they do, if the Wolverines, I believe if the Wolverines sweep Kenai this weekend, they'll be second place.
Without any help.
Okay.
Without help. But that being said, Wisconsin, Fairbanks this weekend, 2 games, and then Fairbanks plays Kenai 2 games next weekend. So it's tough. I don't know if they can clinch second place after Easter Sunday, but it's pretty close.
Okay.
Isaiah, that kind of worries me a little bit because if you don't know exactly what's going to happen, exactly who wins what, then I'm kind of thinking who does know. And the other part is it's good scheduling, and you might as well take credit for it because here high school basketball is taking its last bow, and the other spring sports haven't really gotten underway. So it seems like a good time for people to get down to Sullivan Arena if they haven't been there a while. And you guys, I know, have had some good crowds over the course of the season, but I don't see why that Sullivan Arena can't be hopping over the next few weeks.
Yeah, I like the fact that we're in the playoffs, and if we do well this weekend, then potentially hosting the first round if you can get the 2 seed against somebody like Fairbanks or Wisconsin. Hopefully it would be Fairbanks. That would be ideal for us gate-wise and just the community and all that. I think it would be awesome. Kind of like what happened last year with a couple sellouts during the playoffs. So, yeah, I'll take credit for it, but really it was Merritt and one of our ownership people really helping put the schedule together, and calendar-wise it just works out well when you get you're past the high school basketball season. Like you said, the spring sports haven't really got going outside yet, especially with the cold. So it's a perfect time to come over to the Sullivan Arena and have a good time because it's going to be wild in there. I can tell you that. It's going to be wild.
Well, the biggest thing over the next 3 games for the Anchorage Wolverines, they do not want to put themselves in a spot where they're the number 4 seed and have to go play the Minnesota Wilderness. I mean, whoever draws that card, that's going to be a very, very tough opening round opponent out of the Midwest Division. So just stay out of the 4 seed some way, somehow.
I will say you want to stay out of the 4th seed, but the way the Wolverines have been playing the last 2-3 weeks, really the last month of the season, they've been playing really, really well, and they could really they could do some things in this last little bit. I have to say, the goal. I'm trying to pull up the. If you guys have not seen it
Oh,
yet,
it is. I know exactly what you're talking
if you
about.
have not seen it on social media yet, go to the Anchorage Wolverines social media and check out the clip of the goal that Chase Tomter made. Wow. He picked it up. He went behind the net, kind of hit it with his stick so it would stay on his stick, and then he threw it into the back of the net right underneath the crossbar. It was incredible. It was wild.
That's professional level stuff.
Oh yeah,
I mean, that was
the
there
crowd was
was
kind of stunned. We were all sitting there like, did that just happen? And that's one of the crazy goals of the year. And then Luke Beadall earlier this year had that one behind him between his legs and put it in the
yes.
back. I mean, unreal. Some of these players that we have planned for the Wolverines are incredible.
I was just looking at the schedule there in the month of March and all the games that you guys had. Out of the 8 games in March, the Wolverines went 7-1
Yep.
in the month of March. So yeah, they're playing some really good hockey
Yeah, nine
right now.
9-0-1 in the last 10.
Yep.
So yeah, that's
So
they're doing really well.
doing good. That's the time of year you want to be playing your best hockey or playing your best in any
Absolutely.
sport. When you get down to the end of the regular season and looking to make a playoff run. So right now it's shaping up really well for the Anchorage Wolverines. All right. The news that many people may have heard. All right. The UAA athletic department sending out an email earlier today stating they're having a press conference on Tuesday. So, depending on when you're listening to this podcast, Tuesday afternoon, releasing some information and announcing a new men's basketball head coach. I have heard the rumors. I have heard the postings on social media of who we anticipate it to be. Uh, Brad, have you heard similar grumblings?
I just got a note sent along over the phone, which I guess you can do that. And so it did kind of catch me by surprise. And then I was scrambling to confirm, and I'm thinking, just like you spoke carefully around it, I think what we should do is let people know we know, but not actually give out the name, maybe a few hints. And one of the places I saw was at Hoop Dirt. I guess that's a place I'm going to have to start. And a guy, Andy Nelson, wrote an article that he could confirm that the person we think with Alaska ties, and I suppose it'll be something to talk more about next week. And I imagine we'll chase him down before too long.
Yeah, maybe we can tease that. Maybe we can have a little special podcast later on in the week, a little special release when that all gets announced. Again, the official announcement will be made by the athletic department, I believe, at 3:45 tomorrow, Tuesday, not April 1st. That would have been very funny, actually. It's March 31st.
Yeah, there you go.
That would have been a heck of an April Fool's Day joke. Psych! It's Rusty Osborne coming back. Oh, that would have been wild. No, March 31st, the date of the announcement. So for the new men's basketball coach at UAA, it's going to be the first time since 2004 that there will be somebody new at the helm of this UAA men's basketball program. Again, if you want to do your own Google research, I'm not going to announce it because I think it leaves you a little cherry to come back and listen to the podcast and hopefully the interview with the new head coach when that is all announced. So
that's a good professional tease.
Do your own research.
Professional tease. Nice work.
Hey,
nice.
I'm trying.
No, that's great.
So,
I think what we would involve in that is, with all this good information, you want to be sure you like and subscribe.
Yes. See, Brad's got it now.
Another one. Wow.
Brad's got a new phone. Nice. I mean, the fact that he got a new phone and didn't have to re-log into Zoom or anything, it's yes.
This is crazy.
I know people.
You know people. AT&T. No, I'm just
AT&T.
kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah. We tried for the best price.
Yeah, there you go. I like it. I do too. Me
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Ditto.
Anything else that we want to mention here on this podcast before we wrap things up?
Well, I always got one thing, but just in reference to baseball, it is mid-April, and I would say mid-April's right about the 15th. But our thanks have to go out to one of our previous guests, and that's Donnie Winchester, who seems to have his hand in a lot of things. He's a track guy, a Special Olympics guy. You can go right down the list, but virtually we haven't seen him, Isaiah, the last 3 weeks at Sports Businessman, because he's been out there snow plowing.
Yep.
And the only place you can play baseball at this time of year, essentially, is Bartlett High School. So they're getting that turf ready to go, and we get a little more sunshine. We get it up in the 30s. It won't be comfortable, but we'll start there. And sometimes spring, when they say spring other parts of the world, it's not spring in Alaska, but when you can play a little baseball, you might have to gear up to go out there. But baseball is certainly a sign of spring.
Certainly is. It's always something to look forward to. And I always look forward to the Mariners losing. So there's that.
Well,
So.
I can't say that they did win tonight. Cal Raleigh actually came through, hit a single, 2-1, bottom of the ninth. Boom.
All right. Well,
just so you know, Keaton.
How did you know, Isaiah? Because that was after we came on with the podcast.
I just could tell something happened.
Every game is close. That's what gets me.
All right. Well, anyway. All right. Again, thanks to the Mount Edgecombe boys basketball head coach Marshall Vest joining us on the podcast. Pleasure to talk with him here tonight. That's going to do it for this edition of the Alaska Sports Talk podcast. Be sure, again, in Brad's words, like and subscribe wherever you listen to the podcast. For Isaiah Frewen, Brad Lowers, myself, Keaton Homer, we'll catch you out there at some Alaska sporting events.